Good morning, Manny. How are you?
I woke up with a kink in my neck.
Kink in your neck? You want me to get the CBD oil? Maybe put some on your neck? Maybe I'll get the CBD and rub it real quick.
Just slept wrong.
Or we get it set up. Yoga mat?
Guitar pick.
Turn your phone on silent? Or is it already?
I don't know. I'll check.
The stuff in that corner too. The lamp, the cords.
I know.
Okay. Can you get it? Clean up.
Did you roll up the stuff or carpets and put it in your garage? Or?
The carpets?
Yeah, the stuff that was all in the driveway.
Yeah, I don't know what she did with it.
It's probably in the garage.
Thank God it's not on the driveway. I was gonna get a note from the homeowners association. Can't have stuff from the house on the driveway.
More than 48 hours or something. It's reasonable.
It was reasonable. They would have said something, I would have yelled.
You get a new surge protector?
I did buy one. How did you know?
It's right there.
No, that's not mine. That's, I think, Chitra's.
Oh.
I ordered one with a USB thing to replace that one. I ordered the lights. I ordered bins. I ordered silk satin sheets that are blue. I'm super excited. So the only thing we don't have is the antennas that aren't quite broken yet, but did Sweetwater ever call you?
No.
Okay, we're gonna hound them again. Why isn't David there?
Right?
Oh, he was the man.
He was. He's getting weird out. I probably wanted to move on this.
Yeah, it was like when COVID hit.
Now they got all these young bucks. I see that with, it's like the millennial transfer. You know, I see that especially like when I go to places like Ace Hardware.
me, you know. Today's the 6th, 7th.
7th, I believe, or the 6th.
You can't see that in the picture. Oh shit, how do I turn that off? Okay.
That looks pretty sweet.
Notification center show your alerts in the upper right hand of the screen without interrupting what you are doing. Show and hide notification by clicking on the clock. Oh, but I want do not disturb. Give me 1 minute. 1 minute. Turn on. We're turn it up. Sorry, I got one light shut off. Could be. There we go. Uh-huh. I know. This was the thing I was gonna surprise you with. Uh-huh. 1 minute of this will make a world of difference. And then I have the salve next to me. And when you feel complete. Right here. That could be it. Yep. Okay, salve. It's up in here though, so I'm gonna put it a little bit between the massage and this, it should help. Well, Dee's having trouble with her throat, so the fact that you're having trouble with the back of your throat or your neck, we're all working on the throat chakra this month. You know, the notes we're playing, everything we're doing. Well, at least we got a little bit out of this.
What's in your batteries then?
No, you just charge it USB like.
Okay.
And I had it next to the sink charging so I could use it with you. So I don't know why. I thought
I remember seeing those on Facebook. Everybody would like make laughing comments. That's not the only thing it's full.
Oh, I would never use it for that. That thing is too powerful for that when it's at full speed and charged. You would like kill yourself.
I was like, goodness gracious. That's what I thought.
That's some serious.
Well, I mean, you don't need to
stuff.
do it at full speed, right?
Now, don't get me wrong. I like a massager, but that's a little crazy.
No, everybody was just kind of laughing, I think, because it looked like one of those massagers, kind of, but like
It does.
A super one. They're like, oh, we know where they got the idea for that.
So stand up on your mat. I want to see if I get all of you. Because maybe I can even move this back. Instagram looks great. What do you think? Does he?
Can't see my face on YouTube. A little bit more.
Could you see the ground still?
Yep.
You can see the ground still?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna get the dust wipe. I don't know why. Am I ready? Let me just grab it because it looks a little foggy. Doesn't it?
A little bit.
Fingerprints. Easy to get. Okay, and you're ready? It's good to go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Hatha Fridays. The time is now 9 a.m. On Friday, we're getting ready for a Friday, so I just wanted to share a little bit of vulnerability with everybody. to start this off. I woke up with a little kink in my neck, and I just wanted to say that, like, no matter where we are on our path, we're going to have moments where we're not at full strength. And sometimes we push ourselves a little too far, and then we lack the presence with our own bodies. And so I just want to take a little time to chew on that a little bit before we get started. No matter where we are in our yoga path, there's going to be times like that where we have injuries, flares come up. So just be gentle with yourself with that. A lot of us have a tendency of falling into maybe old patterns when these things happen. But having the fortitude in mind to be present with our bodies through all of this and nurture it, it's a lesson I'm learning every day in my yoga journey. So just wanted to bring that to become our intention for this practice, being present in our bodies. And that's really as simple as it gets, because oftentimes we get caught up in tasks and different brain exercises where the brain is basically taken over our entire being. And then we start to lose a little bit of presence in our body and start to lose focus of certain areas. So getting started, you're going to need 2 blocks. I'm sitting on one. And you can either put a block or a blanket or a couple of blankets underneath your seat, just so you can get your pelvis a little higher than the knees. And as you take your first inhale, pull it up from the sacrum, filling up the belly, letting it rise up through the ribs, expanding through the heart, and allowing the shoulder blades to gently rest down the back. And start to feel a little bit of a stretch in the back of the neck as we reach the crown of the head up through to the sky. And exhale, let it all go. Yes, that was a long breath. So try to breathe as slowly as you can. Focused inhales, allowing the energy to rise from the sacrum, filling up the belly, riding through the ribs, expanding out the heart. Imagine your heart shining, and then pressing those shoulder blades down the back as the crown of the head reaches through. And then exhale, allowing it all to settle, allowing your shoulders to settle deeper, allowing all of the air to expel out of our bodies until there's nothing left. Start to form a ujjayi breath. So by slightly restricting the back of our throat, constricting the back of our throat, it's going to sound almost like ocean waves if we're doing it long and slow. So deep inhale. And deep exhale, allowing those waves to gently lap to the shore, to release any stuck energy. Just stay focused for a moment on your breath with this ujjayi breath, filling up in the belly, riding through the ribs, expanding through the heart, and exhaling it all out. And any areas of tension that we have in our body right now, just in the still position, begin to focus the breath on that area of the allowing the breath to blanket like a warm blanket. really try to start to feel the release with each exhale, feeding warmth, opening up new nadis, bringing prana through that area of the body. Great, let's go ahead and lift up off of our seat. We're going to come at first to all fours, taking the fingers, the hands underneath the wrists, wrists underneath the shoulders, shoulder distance apart, knees are hip distance apart, and the feet, tops of the feet are gently pressing into the earth. So from here, let's go ahead and take the knees out wide, pressing the big toes to touch, and start to gently slide the hands forward just until your forehead reaches the mat. And really try to focus this Ujjayi breath. Maybe it's a little louder. Maybe you can hear it in your skull. This is also going to help relax the mind, allowing us to surrender into our practice, surrender into our bodies. So here, let's go ahead and focus our breath on the third eye. Imagine all the tension from everything in our to-do list, just allowing everything in that prefrontal cortex of the brain to settle and relax. In our next breath in, let's go ahead and slowly walk the fingertips back, placing them underneath the shoulders, and then inhale, slowly lift up. Pressing the sits bones on the heels, and then coming up to a position on our knees. I will turn so I can face you. Pressing the knees together and sitting the sits bones back onto the heels. Taking a moment to analyze the breath rising up from the sacrum, through the belly, up through the heart, pressing those shoulder blades down the back and lifting up through the crown of the head, slight tuck of the chin, keeping those core muscles engaged. Just taking a moment here to integrate the breath. And let's go ahead and bring the hands forward and tuck the toes underneath, taking the knees down, and then sitting back onto our heels. Trying to allow all 10 toes to reach the mat. I understand that all foot shapes are not the same, so some of us might be able to reach that more than others. Don't be discouraged. Part of us being present in our body is being where we're at, being comfortable in our own skin, so to speak. And that's part of how we release into that transformation of yoga over time. Because if we're comfortable with where we're at, we're comfortable with transformation. And if you're starting to feel a lot of, I don't normally do this, I don't normally stretch my feet, you can use your blocks. You can also place your fingertips down on the earth. Just be present, be gentle. There shouldn't be any pain there. So if there's any pain, let off a little bit. Next inhale, if your fingers aren't already forward, just come forward. Tuck the toes and bring the sits bones back onto the heels. We're going to come back into that tabletop position. Taking the left hand underneath the third eye, and the beat of the heart over the wrist, over the hand. Let's go ahead and inhale, sweep that right hand to the air, and then exhale, weave it through underneath your chest, threading that needle and placing the shoulder down onto the earth. Be mindful of the hips here, that you're not leaning to one side or the other, that we're placing equal weight into both sides of the body. We can take our hand and prop it next to our face, or we can begin to walk our fingertips forward, extending the left arm, and feeling a deep stretch between the deltoid and the traps, or maybe the rhomboids in between the scapulas. And again, trying to balance from left to right. Next inhale, let's go ahead and slow as we can bring that left hand back in. Push into the fingertips, sweeping that hand to the air, and exhale, slowly flutter it down. It's placing that right hand underneath the third eye. Inhale, guide the fingers up across the heart, up through to the sky, and then exhale, weave it through underneath the heart. Because in actuality, if we're going through a process of transformation and we're in our flow, and the counterparty is still and muddy waters, so to speak, the best thing for us to do for muddy waters to clear is to leave it alone. I think that was a quote by Alan Watts or something. Let's go ahead and inhale, bring our right hand back underneath our shoulder, drawing our left hand up towards the sky, and exhale, lower it back down. Coming to a position lying on our belly. Let's bring the hands out to a T. And then bringing our gaze over to the left, resting our cheek, side of our temple onto the mat. Let's go ahead and inhale, take a deep bend into the left knee, pressing up through the heel, flexing the toes, and then draw that left hand underneath the shoulder. Keep that right hand extended out to a T, and then inhale, start to draw the left heel up and over, placing the sole of the foot onto the earth, and stacking the foot underneath the ankle, ankle underneath the knee, reaching up towards the sky. And even draw your hand in a little further for a deeper stretch, taking whatever adjustment in your shoulder that you need to really get into this stretch. Always drawing the breath in and exhaling it in that area of the body that you're currently trying to relieve that tension. All the while keeping everything engaged. Allowing that pranic energy to expand outward in all directions. Next inhale, slowly lift the sole of the foot up and take that heel back up and over the right leg. Bringing the left leg out long, Drawing that left hand out to a T and begin to lift on your head and turn your gaze over to the right. Let's take a deep bend into the right knee, pressing through the heel, flexing the toes. Then draw our right hand underneath our shoulder. Slowly start to lift that right knee up and over, taking the sole of the foot down onto the earth. And trying to stack that foot underneath the ankle, ankle underneath the knee. Imagine a pillar rising up, making whatever adjustments in our shoulders that we need to allow ourselves to become as deep into the posture as we can, using the breath to guide that release opening. Being present with our body at all times. Next inhale, let's go ahead and take the knee and draw it up and over the leg, taking the right leg out long, extending it. Let's just take both hands out to a T just to absorb the yumminess, just allowing our bodies to surrender into the mat, allowing ourselves to integrate for a moment here. Next inhale, let's go ahead and draw the hands back in slowly, like we're carving lines in the sand. And then inhale, press up, coming up into a tabletop position. Again, taking the hands underneath the shoulders, shoulder distance apart, knees hip distance apart, and tops of the feet pressing into the earth. Let's go ahead and guide that heart 1 inch forward, extending through the crown of the head. Inhale, drop the belly, allowing the shoulder blades to rest down the back, and then exhale, round into the back. Inhale, dropping the belly, expressing forward through the heart, pushing out the back, and then exhale, rounding it all in. So imagine a compression and a contraction. So you're expanding outward, pressing the heart forward, pressing the crown of the head forward, expanding through the backside, and then exhale, drawing it all into the center. It's almost like I imagine a set of lungs breathing. They're compressing and contracting. If you'd like to invite any organic movement by starting to make barrel rolls and drawing circles, dropping the belly, exhale, drawing and lifting up through the back. Go ahead and do that. Be a little playful. We don't have to be so rigid. You can start to feel the breath becoming a little bit more expressive the more playful we get in our practice. Allowing that freeing energy to take root. And we can start to guide our circles in the opposite direction. Let's go ahead and take the hands, one paw print forward, and take a bend into the toes. Starting to slowly lift the knees on the inhale and then pressing the hips up and back to our first downward dog. Oh, look, we finally got here. Taking the head in between the biceps, pressing out of the glutes, out of the hamstrings, reaching them towards the back of the room. Allowing that deep stretch in the Achilles, allowing the heels to just release down towards our mat. They don't have to get there. Whether they get there or not, it's irrelevant. And taking the weight out of our wrists into our fingertips. Imagine pulling the breath up through the hands, down the arms, down the spine, and then exhaling it down the legs, distributing it back into the earth, and then pulling that line of energy back to the hands, creating a triangular shape of energy with the breath. Allowing the vibration of our breath to invite more space, invite more blood flow. And inhale, slowly walk up to meet our hands. Slowly step in, placing the feet in between the hands. And then just allowing our knuckles to drag maybe our whole hands. And just starting to sway side to side, keeping our focus on the breath, engagement of the core to protect the lower back, taking the weight into the balls of the feet, still keeping our heels connected with the earth. Next inhale, let's go ahead and slowly lift to half lift, reaching the crown of the forehead forward. And then exhale, lower down. Maybe perhaps grasping around the ankles or the calves. And let's inhale, lift back up to half lift. Exhale, lower back down. As we are lowered in our forward fold, let's go ahead, inhale to half lift, reach back and interlace our fingers behind our sacrum, pulling the shoulder blades down the back. And then exhale, reaching the hands, wrists up towards the sky, maybe towards the back of the room. Feeling that breath expand out the heart, that breath expand through the crown of the head. Inhale, coming back up slowly, carefully, allowing the hands to come forward, palms open. Just taking a moment here in mountain pose. Allowing the presence of the breath in the body to integrate with everything that we just did. Let's go ahead and slowly transition over to a wide-legged position. And take the feet as wide as until we start to feel a stretch in the interior of our bodies. So just take a moment here with our feet parallel with the tops and bottoms of the mat, heels almost reaching to the back corners of the mat, all 10 toes connected with the earth, all 3 corners of the feet connected. Just taking our hands onto our waists and doing a scan from the toes up through the feet, through the ankles, calves, up through the thighs, and feeling that stretch into the groin, the hamstrings, and pulling that cord of energy up through the glutes, lower back, side bodies, expressing through the heart, up through the throat, up through the back of the neck, pulling and reaching the crown up, shining from the third eye to the crown. Let's inhale, reach our fingertips up, Placing the palms together and then exhale, draw the heart forward, bending at the waist. And we can either take our hands onto our ankles or into the interior in between our ankles. Just really take a moment here to sink into the pose with the breath. You can also wrap the two peace fingers around the big toes. Or you can take the palms down and bend the elbows out. Just wherever you are in your practice. You can also wrap around the back sides of the ankles. The sits bones to rock forelegs resting down the back. Let's take a deep inhale in here together, filling up the belly, allowing the breath to rise up through the heart, up through the crown, and then take a deep bend into the elbows and draw the heart forward. And start to feel the knees releasing to the earth. Only push this as far as you start to feel a stretch as it transitions into a deep stretch. And next inhale, let's slowly lift up. Let's go ahead and leave the right knee bent, taking the right foot into the inside of the thigh. And then the other leg will take a deep bend and try to draw that ankle and heel behind the sacrum. And just try to form a seat where you're putting equal weight onto both sides. And then we're going to go ahead and lift up through the crown of the head, twisting our gaze up and over to the right side, starting to draw our gaze over to the left or past the left shoulder. Next inhale, let's slowly come back to center. Let's go ahead and bring that left leg out straight. Start to bend it over. And then take the right leg out straight, taking the left heel and foot into the interior of the thigh. And then go ahead and spin that right heel around, trying to form equal weight between both sides. And if you can't do this, you need to be supported on one side, just go ahead and put your foot down. Not all of us have like perfectly even hips. So again, just being present where you're at, guiding that right heel in towards the sacrum is going to help you find balance on both sides. And then take a deep inhale, lifting up through the crown and then taking our gaze over to the right, placing the hands around the shin. And taking our gaze towards the back of the room. Next inhale, let's go ahead, come back to center. Let's go ahead and take that right knee forward. And coming into a Sukhasana position. Taking a moment to integrate new movement, new twists and bends, new presence with the body. Let's go ahead and slowly make our way to a position lying on our backs. First coming down onto the elbows, and then taking the shoulder blades, tucking them underneath the back, and allowing the skull to settle onto the earth just so you feel a slight stretch into the back of the neck. Go ahead and draw the heels out long. And let's take the soles of the feet together, flexing into the toes. We'll take our hands and press them into the earth next to us. Also have the option of placing them into cactus arms with the palms of the hands up. Or you can just simply rest them by your side. Let's go ahead and inhale, begin to reach the heels up to the ceiling, and then exhale, slowly lower down. Inhale, begin to guide them up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, guide them up towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower down. This time, inhale, reach the right heel up towards the ceiling. Keep the left heel long. Exhale, lower down. This time, inhale, left heel towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, right heel up towards the ceiling. Exhale, down. This time, left. Reach towards the ceiling. Exhale, lower down. Keep them elevated off the earth. This time, both. Inhale, reaching both heels up. Exhale, slowly lower down. Inhale, reach the heels up. Even if you're shaking like me right now, stay connected with the breath. Last one, inhale, slow as you can. Then go ahead and draw the knees in, pull the knees into your heart. And let's take the soles of the feet together, bringing the knees out wide. Coming into our Supta Baddha Konasana. Allowing the interior of the thighs to melt outward. Allowing the tension in our lower abdomen to dissolve away with the breath. Next inhale, let's go ahead and slowly start to draw those knees together. Bringing the right heel out, drawing that left knee into the chest. Let's go ahead and wrap that right hand around the underside of the knee and start to draw that knee up and over to the right, taking that left arm out to a T, and then slowly taking that gaze past the left fingertips. Feeling that stretch in the outer hip. We did a lot of work in the interior sacral area of the body today, from the root. It's often an area of the body that goes kind of ignored. especially among men. So a little bit more of that, but right now we're focusing our breath on the outside of the hip, feeling that deep stretch in the glute and the psoas, the IT bands. Next inhale, we'll slowly lift the knee up, drawing it into our heart. One last time, and this time taking the left hand around the shin, right arm out to a T, and begin to draw that shin parallel with the long side of the mat towards the outside of the mat. Let's take a flex into our toes here and make sure that both sits. Allowing that ujjayi breath in like waves of the ocean, washing the ocean floor, washing the ocean floor of the body. Next inhale, begin to draw that knee back up. Let's pull it into our heart one last time, taking it into the right hand underneath the knee, around the shin, and then taking that left hand out to a T, fingertips pressing into the mat. Begin to draw that right shin towards the outside of the mat, parallel, flexing into both toes. Keeping that left sits bone connected with the earth. Keeping that entire engagement of the body with the left fingertips reaching out in the opposite direction. And next inhale, bring it back to center, drawing that knee back in one last time, giving ourselves a little hug. And let's go ahead and just bring the heels out, allowing the toes to just rest over to the side, to just settle wherever they are. Again, taking our shoulder blades underneath the back, and allowing the knuckles and the tops of the hands to just softly rest onto the earth. Beginning to allow the body to breathe itself. Taking our focus and our energy around the toes, wrapping it with love, loving breath, around the balls of the feet, around the heels, around the ankles, calves, front of the shins, around the hamstrings and quads, hips and glutes, and the crown to ascend towards the light. crown to ascend towards the light. Continue to imagine a golden stream of energy flowing up from your heels and your feet all the way up through your body in a spiral of energy. As your body's light ascends towards the crown, and your crown ascends towards the light. Very slowly begin to draw attention and awareness back into the body. As we were in the fetal position, the beginning of our lives, all we had was the presence of the nurturing of our bodies. Go there and remind yourself of your practices to balance the presence and body. So be sure to check those out as well, and have a wonderfully blessed day, like I said.